Hey everyone, Ivan Bluko back here again to finish up what's hopefully the final part of what if I was reborn as a Saiyan, plus what if Delta was reborn as a Namekian. Now, we sped through a lot of the early Super Sagas because nothing really changes. We're just a lot more powerful, and many of them are just fights. But let's go back a little bit and talk about Daima. Let's have a little special story for the kids. Now, in this timeline, Goma would have replayed Dragon Ball Z, which honestly I would love to have that power just to see the fights in basically 3D. In this timeline, he thinks the adults are full on terrifying and basically ignores when the kids were either defeated or had to leave off world when everything was getting dangerous. So his wish is going to be a little different. In this wish, he's going to instead wish for all the adults to be babies. Like ages of 1 or 2, basically unable to fight. Now, with Vegeta having SS4, he would be able to break through it regularly if he was a kid, but in this body he's unable to do anything. So many of the adults are children. Delta would be a Namekian kid, so he'd be tiny like how Dende was. So he would also be affected. Now the kids would be shocked about this and think, okay, we have to do something. We have to find Dragon Ball Dynamic or something like that to restore things. So that's where but instead they hear about what's happening in the demon world. This instead is where the story takes place. Now many of the because the kids weren't affected, many of the story would be easy. This would be where Luna and Zena take reins of the lesser storylines, where Luna would make would use the power pole and use that as her weapon, creating clones because she learned that from Delta, who was training on Yardrat, so she can face off and attack armies without getting herself hurt. While Zena would instead focus on using a Morning Star and try to use the terrain to her advantage instead. Now things will change when they meet the first Tamagami. Goma is trying to get these Dragon Balls as well, and Aura and Starry are just hanging back and watching because they're way more powerful than everyone in the story. So Luna and Zena, thinking that they're very tough, fighting all of these weaker opponents, would take on the Tamagami. It'd be a quick fight where both of them would try and do teamwork, combinations for spirit vision, teleporting around, but nothing would really work because these are creations. They sure have ki, but they aren't going to take enough power quickly, and both get defeated. The first Tamagami would then see the next opponent, and Starry would step up. This is where he would finally think, alright, it's time to just take things in my own hand, and he would power up to Super Saiyan. Super Saiyan like God, and then just waste the Tamagami instantly. Goma would be in shock seeing that he was able to just defeat what was stronger than even Dabura or Kid Buu at this point with ease. So he thinks, okay, we gotta get the Dragon Balls fast. This is where Ku and Du get born sooner, and will face off against the kids later on. Then we get to the next Tamagami, and that's where Ku and Du take on theirs, and then Aura takes on this one. She would think, okay, this time to show them what a magical girl can really do, and powers up to magical girl or a mystic. And she would destroy the Tamagami with ease because Aura would actually be training compared to Gohan and keeping up with her mystic training, which would make her really powerful, as we saw with Gohan, who's a hybrid. So even a fraction of that potential would make her instantly way more powerful, even without god powers. When we get to the end, this is where the wishes get stolen when the kids were resting, and then the wish was made. Now you'd have the two wishes. The first would be giving Goma the eye, and then the second one would be restoring all the adults back to, adults, because they were babies. Starry would decide, okay, I'm tired, I'll fight Goma, and then Goma uses the eye thinking he's all powerful now. Him and Starry face off. Starry would start off in base, thinking he could just wail on him immediately because Goma's not powerful. But Goma would continuously get more powerful and more. First, he'd be Frieza's power. Then he'd go up to Cell's power. Then he'd rise up to Kid Boo's power and just keep rising and rising and rising. Or thinking, sorry, that's like enough time. You've played around enough, and thinking, no, I want to like make sure Goma doesn't have anything to do in the future. And this is where he powers up to his mastered Super Saiyan Blue. And with just one shot, he blows Goma away, eradicating the eye on as well, ending Daima. Many of the Demon Realm inhabitants would be shocked at how powerful Saiyans are, and would probably be too scared to even try this again. Ku and Du would be just chill because they like how these kids are acting, and maybe they'll come to the Earth so they can join the superhero group with them, Gohan, and eventually the future androids, which we would get into the superhero arc much later. But that would be the Daima arc. It wouldn't be that much of a challenge. These kids are way more powerful. So let's go back to Super. Now, we dealt with Zamasu and the Universe 6 tournament, so the next is the Tournament of Power. This one would be quite easy. First, me and Delta, already having our potentials unlocked, would just train for a year in a hyperbolic time chamber because that's all we would need. So, now, if I'm worried about my age, one day I would wish for to double my lifespan so that I could live longer with Pepper, and I would give her the same wish. Delta would live a long time because we see Kami living a long time, and with him staying well maintained and working out, he would live a long time regardless. In this 1 year of training, we would go down different paths. I would go down the Ultra Instinct path because my gamer skills already give me that ability to play without thinking. So I would just need to transfer that power to my Ultra Instinct. Delta, meanwhile, because he's a Namekian, he'll be able to do something special. He would train under Beerus to gain destruction power. His body can be destroyed all the time, and he could still gain that power by just ripping off the broken limb and returning it, giving him a way better use of it than Vegeta. So we would have Orange Destroyer God Delta and Ultra Instinct Saiyan God Sprout. Pepper would simply just be mastering her Super Saiyan Blue because that would be enough, telling her everything I know. While Goku and Vegeta would be going down their own paths. Goku would be mastered Blue Kaioken, which would be way more powerful than how he had in the story, not reaching Ultra Instinct levels yet. While Vegeta would instead go down Super Saiyan 4 Limit Breaker path. So everyone has their own unique powers. Now, who else would be in this tournament? Well, Or and Starry would definitely be two choices. Then we'd have Piccolo. We would have Gohan, and any other available seat would simply be given to any of the humans or even the androids, because there would be no need for it. No need for anybody else. We'd have way too many powerful fighters anyways. Now, with the Tournament of Power, this is where we would already have our wish. We would have our wish and think, okay, we have to take out as many people as possible and clear them out. Without Gold and Frieza bothering, we would be able to just handle things easily. Let the Saiyans go out and do what they want, and we can handle everything else. When this tournament starts, they would instantly go after us, and many fighters would just be taken out immediately because we wouldn't be playing around. Vegeta and Goku would be playing around, but they would be taking out their fighters easily. With Vegeta having the Super Saiyan 4 Limit Breaker, he would be a major challenge and would eventually face off against Toppo. Him and Toppo would have an amazing fight, and these two would be clashing all around. Then you got Dispo. Dispo would be facing off against Delta because he would really love to face off against this guy, and they'd have a speed fight where every time Dispo hits him, Delta gains more and more power with his destructive energy. Toppo would be seeing this and think, oh, a destroyer god? They have a destroyer god of their own? And Vegeta would think, pay attention to me, I'm way more powerful than he's ever going to be, and just knocks into Toppo majorly. And before he knocks them out, he would use a final shine to try and get rid of Toppo off the stage. Toppo would destroy that final shine with his Hakai energy, and that's where I see my opening, just the fire at Toppo's feet, knocking his balance out, dropping him from the stage. Vegeta would know I pulled that stunt and would be annoyed that he was helped out, and I told him, I don't care, dude. We're trying to save our universe. Go fight Jiren if you wanna see what that feels like. And then he looks over and sees Goku getting like absolutely obliterated by Jiren, even with his superpowered mastered blue Kaioken state. Jiren is still more powerful than him. So Vegeta thinks, alright, this is where my opportunity shines. Meanwhile, the kids are fighting off all the like Super Sentais, the Love Universe, Namekians, and everything like that. While Piccolo and Gohan are just strategic and way more powerful as a result, would be taking on other foes. All the other universes would be in shock at how powerful Universe 7 is with all its inhabitants. When the clown god would reveal that he has someone stronger than a god of destruction in his midst, Beerus would just tell him, "Oh, you do? Only one? I have plenty of them." He's like, "Wait, what?" Yep, there's like a bunch of people right here that are way more powerful than me, which would shock all the other gods. Even with like Toppo, Jiren, and Dispo, they wouldn't have a chance. So when Goku gets his second win and faces off against Kefla, this is where he would unlock Ultra Instinct, and many of the gods would be bowing in respect, seeing that someone finally unlocked Ultra Instinct. I would think, well, I already unlocked that too, but best not to get ahead of ourselves. And Vegeta is like, fighting off like with Jiren and having just an explosive limit breaker fight. But Jiren would still be more powerful than him. Vegeta would have been winded from his Toppo fight, and they would be just, clashing back and forth. But Jiren would just be leaving more and more damage on Vegeta. Many of the fighters from the other universe would be getting taken out, and many of the other universes would be destroyed. Like, erased completely. With only one, Zeno, he would have still wanted the tournament, if anyone's wondering, but this one would just been one that Goku asked for directly, because we needed the story to take place. With a lot of the fighting going on in the background, whenever a universe when a universe was first erased, we would immediately use that split second of hesitation to immediately blow out even more competitors, which would send even more people out. The rest of the competitors would be enraged and would go after us. You would have Hit try and use time skip to just blow my heart out so he can take me off the stage, but because I'm way more powerful, at him not knowing I have Ultra Instinct, would immediately have punched him in the face long before he even got to use his time skip. So he would be in time skip, knocked out. I'd see him, I'd grab him and tell him, "Don't worry, I'll bring you back later," and throw him off the ring. Goku would do his cool Ultra Instinct battle with Kefla and defeat her with ease, which would only leave a couple competitors left. Delta already taking care of Dispo, we would see that Jiren is the only one left. Jiren, completely surrounded by people more powerful than him, would think, this is the end, but I gotta keep trying because my universe is the only thing left in the balance, so he would rush in to try and take on literally anybody. He would go after the kids first, thinking I gotta go after them, but this was actually a fake out so Delta could jump in, only for him to knock Delta across the face. Delta would be enraged that a superhero, a man that's supposed to protect the world, would use such dirty tactics. And Jiren tells him that you guys started this fight, the universe is going to be erased. If anything, you look like the biggest villain in my eyes, which would enrage Delta, where he would release his God of Destruction energy again and start fighting with Jiren. Every blow is basically like a universe exploding. That's how powerful these two are going. I'm just watching thinking, alright, this is probably going to be where the end comes, and Vegeta wanting to get up and fight again, thinking, let me face him, I want to defeat him, and Goku wanting to tap into Ultra Instinct, he would also want to jump in as well. I'll tell him, let Delta handle this. This is where his fight, he should finish the fight. Seeing all the kids that he's protecting, Delta tells them the universe is a dangerous place. It's a sad place, but we can't be allowing ourselves to just let the world be erased. I will bring everyone back, but I have to defeat you. I know you don't trust me, but just know that's the truth. And where Jiren would keep fighting, thinking, this is not, I will defeat every one of you, even if it costs me my life, and in any universe, I will destroy you. Where Delta thinks this is the end, Jiren. Where he would power up and go orange, ultra, ego, Namekian, and just punch out Jiren, sending him off the stage, completing the battle with 10 minutes to go. Every other universe destroyed, we'd have a winner. It would be Delta. Delta got the last fight in, so he would get the wishes. Delta, seeing Luna and Zena and all the children he's helped along the way, and seeing me, would make the wish: restore all the other universe back to how they were, and everyone gets brought back to life. Jiren would see that he was telling the truth, and everyone is safe. Now, these universes would be, on the back burner after that, but after such an amazing fight, it would be like, smooth sailings. We can get into like the Moro arc, the super hero arcs, and Granola, but every one of them would be like quite easy. With superheroes, that would be like where Piccolo and Delta on Earth would just take it on easily by defeating semi-perfect Cell Max and just destroy it easily. Like Delta would use his Kai energy to erase him, and then Piccolo would just destroy the rest of it like how he should have with special beam cannon and just clear it out. With seeing that this kid was able to use cosmetics, Delta just takes him over to Bulma and gives him a job. That's where Gamma 1 and Gamma 2 would be like our allies, and they would join the kid as superheroes. So we'd have extra superheroes. And then Ku and Du would join in as well. So it'd be like a super wacky version of like magical girls. You got like, Ku and Du, you got androids, you have like, Saiyans and everything like that. It'd be the funniest like group ever. The Moro arc would be an easy one. Moro would be a lot weaker thanks to not having any the Saiyan soldier to tell him about the Dragon Balls. And even if he could break out and find his way to Namek, we would already have been prepared for that, telling the Namekians, if you ever if some goat man ever appeared, you call for us immediately. And that's where King Kai tells us, and we would teleport to Namek to find Moro. This Moro would be a lot weaker in general, so we would just take him out. It wouldn't be much of a challenge. Delta would just use Force Spirit Vision to keep him weak, while I would just use my Ultra Instinct to just smash Moro into pieces. We would have his android that would copy our skills, but it would not be enough because we would have more people around us than they could copy skills, so 3, and that's where we use our teamwork, use like Ultra Instinct, Ultra Ego to just, destroy the android and destroy its pieces. We'd make sure every piece of that android was destroyed so Granola couldn't find it. And with like the heat, and if Granola did make his wish, he would honestly be like left with like less than a week to live because we're so much more powerful than he ever was. Then he would still try and fight us because we don't like he would destroy the heaters. Like there would be no Frieza. It's like he would have wasted his wish for nothing. So we tell him, go back and just undo your wish. And he's like, no, I want to destroy you guys. Like there's still Saiyans here. And I tell him, I'm like, I didn't like the Saiyans either, but if that's what you want, we just simply like pop in the Patara earrings, turn into Devin, and just one-shot Granola, finishing him off right there, and telling him, yeah, your arc was like fun, but we're not gonna deal with this. This is not like something we want to deal with. And that's where like a lot of Super has been completed. Like after this, we don't know what's going to happen. And we're fine with that. We were enjoying the peace of the world anyways. Pepper will just be chilling with like the housewives, but she'd be more of like the more tough mom. But she's honestly loves hanging out with the Earthlings. I could say like GT events happen, but those GT events wouldn't be that much of a difference. We have teleportation, so we could just teleport across to get the Black Star Dragon Balls. We would be able to destroy Super 17 because we'd have like ways to just force spirit vision off them. Baby would be like a problem, but he wouldn't be that much of a problem with Hakai energy just erasing him and taking him out easily. The Black Star Dragon Balls would be a fun time, but we would like wouldn't be that difficult, and I would feel like a lot of this arcs would happen sooner. So let's just simply end it off at Z. The final tournament would occur, and we just let things happen as they occur. We would instead just have a cookout. I'd be up in the age a lot more, but I'd still look so useful. Same with Pepper and the kids. As the kids would just go off and do whatever they want. Maybe they got married, they started careers, but they did enjoy like hanging out. Like, I'll tell them, well, Delta, this has been like a crazy ride, but do you think we're ever going to head back home? And Delta's like, well, if we go back home, that's cool, but I enjoyed our life here as well. We got to actually be in an anime. Isn't that cool? And I got to see my cute little sisters and everything like that. And I tell him, yeah, it's pretty cool, but I'm sure I'll miss my family too. I really hope I don't ever forget them. And you tell him, well, I guess you can make a wish on the Dragon Balls to perfectly memorize your real life so you never forget. And I'm like, yeah, I guess. So this is where we would have our final battle. The final battle between Sprout and Delta. We think, alright, this is the time where we find out who's the strongest. And he's like, yeah. First we start off in our bases. We just battle back and forth. I would release my Ikari form, and he would just, boost up his power. We would have a fun time trading blows back and forth. Delta would think, okay, let's ramp this up, and he would go into his golden form. I would go into my Super Saiyan mastered form, because I didn't need to learn the other two Super Saiyan forms. We would go continuously fight back and forth, as our power levels would rise and rise and rise. Delta would think, alright, let's pick it up another notch, and he would release his mystic form. I would also release my mystic form, and we'd have another clash. The universe, and maybe even the multiverse would feel our fight and just sit there and watch. Goku and Vegeta would appear to see this fight as well, seeing that these two people have still gone so much more powerful, even though they're so peaceful, and they would love to join in, but they would have their own fight off to the side. I would go into my God form and Mastered Blue form, and this is where Delta would go into his orange form. He's beating me, so I would need to use my ultimate power, Mastered Super Saiyan God, and I would need to go into a higher form into that, and then we would need to keep fighting and fighting. Delta thinks this is a fun time, but I'm going to win. I tell him, no, I'm going to win. Ultra Instinct was always better than Ultra Ego. And he tells him, Hakai Energy is way cooler than that. Plus, I'm a Namekian, so I can just regenerate all my limbs. I tell him, yeah, that'll help when I beat you. He's like, hey, this is where I finally use my mastered Ultra Instinct. And he goes into his perfected Ultra Ego. And this is where we just keep clashing. We fight and fight and fight. Fighting for essentially what's account to hours, days. The universe starts tearing itself apart as we just keep clashing, and we just go into pocket universe and continuing to fight. Beerus and Whis would be amazed at how much we've progressed, and Beerus would think, yeah, I could probably ask him to be a destroyer god, but he wouldn't want the position. He already has everything he wants. And this is where our fight would start finishing up as the sun would set. We would return and think, well, we both have only one more attack in us, and we would clash one more time. He'd use his ultimate Hakai of Namekian beam, and I would go into my super godly Saiyan blast, and this is where our fight would conclude. We would both fall to the ground, but with some luck, thanks to my tail, I would hit the ground 1 second before Delta hits the ground, having me be the winner of our final clash. Delta thinks, hey, that's cheating. You had used the tail, and I told him, my tail has always been with me this entire time. This is not cheating. Delta would get back up, heal us both, and think, that was a fun time. Maybe we could do this again sometime. Maybe, but, time for the cookout. And this is where we would end our what if. I was reborn as a Saiyan, and Delta was reborn as a Namekian. This was a fun time. I really enjoyed writing this story and sharing with all of you. So, so I don't know if I'm going to do like another what if. I was thinking of doing a Fate Stay Night what if. Like if I was like born in Fuyuki, I would have like the basic master skills in Shaudia. But I think this is where I'll end it off for here. Thanks for listening, everyone. I hope you enjoyed.